But speaking of coming back to bite you, and speaking of making a comeback, the case study is Disney. Now, many people ask about the shirts. What are these racing shirts? See that says right there? Pete. Pete was with Williams Formula One. This is an authentic Williams Formula One shirt that I got many years ago. Williams used to be a championship team. Now they're trying to make a comeback. Well, guess what? I thought that was an appropriate shirt to wear. And by at the time, they were sponsored by Royal Bank of Scotland, you know, AT&T, Philips, and these fine people here. Accenture, Bridgestone, you know, people you know about. Thomson Reuters, a big news organization. So I don't wear these as sponsors. I'm not paid on these. These are authentic F1 shirts, and I wear each one with a theme or a reason. And this theme is Disney. From what was once a championship team trying to make a comeback, Williams Formula One, to Disney, where Bob Iger drove big championships. Now he's come back and he's finding life is a little more tougher. We're going to dive in to just see how tough and why on earth is Disney in the headlines with, are they selling ESPN? What are they doing? So I'm going to run over, I'm going to grab my vault, I'm going to run over to Studio B and find my board and tell you all about it. All right. I found my board. Don't know what your favorite flavor is. I love that watermelon. So we're going to talk about Disney. There's been a lot of things that's been going on and a lot of headlines. Bob Iger this, Bob Iger that. Let's step back and look at it. And I just want to take you like on a 40,000 foot view to kind of understand what has been happening and what I call the Disney dilemma. I couldn't think of anything great like Star Wars, like The Revenge of the Sith or something like that. Couldn't do it, or, The Empire Strikes Back, whatever the hell it was. But I call it the Disney dilemma. So let's go take a look at what's up. So, the Return of the Jedi. Once upon a time, Bob Iger, this nice man, really did a fantastic job. 15 years he led Disney after the reign of Michael Eisner, and people that were there said it was a reign of terror. And when Bob came back, it was much different. And there was a lot of great things that happened. He was also a deal maker. He went out and bought the Fox library, very expensive. There was a lot of things that came in under his watch, but nonetheless, people have said in the recent era, it was sort of a golden years for Disney. And he writes this book, The Ride of a Lifetime, which many people, including me, think is a great book by a CEO, giving you, war stories about Disney, but also some practical insights into how he manages and his philosophies. Well, 2 years he wasn't there. He's standing by as an advisor, and then this is the recent picture of him at the Allen & Company conference. It's up in Idaho. And then once a year, Allen & Company gets together with technology and media, and they're up there, and it's designed to do deals. Why was he up there? He was up there as a member of media, as a member of one of the 2 or 3 biggest media companies, period. But he was also up there looking for deals. What kind of deals was he looking for? Well, let's go take a look at what he was brought in to mop up. Because in the 2 years when he was gone, a guy named Bob Chapek was in charge. And some of the things that were happening were carryovers from Iger. So he was a great CEO, but some things that he had put in place, weren't working as well. A lot of things were working as well. But then Chapek reorganized, did a lot of things. And then he said, please, Bob, come back. Please come save us, which I call the Return of the Jedi. So what's going on? Well, first of all, let's call it Iger 2.0. He has a big job. So our hero returns. Let's just call him all the wars he's got to fight. What does he got to fight? Let's take a look. First of all, there's corporate organization. Chapek had reorganized things on the creative side. And Chapek, by the way, came from theme parks where he had done very well. And part of the reason he got promoted to CEO is because he had done really well on the theme parks, raising attendance, bringing in more revenue and all that. So he nonetheless came in and decided to reorganize, and Bob went back to the way he had it. So it's like in 2 years, Chapek moved all the furniture around in the living room, and then Iger comes in and moves the furniture back in the living room. But it's not that easy. This is billions of dollars of corporate furniture, reorganizing corporate divisions and reprioritizing corporate projects. So that living room is freaking expensive. Then what does he got to do? The balance sheet. For those of you not familiar with finance, a balance sheet is where assets and liabilities, like big loans that you had because it was $71 billion to get all that library from Fox. Okay, So you've got that debt to be taken care of. And let's see, have interest rates moved recently? Oh, yes, those interest rates are way up. So now you've got interest rates up. So the debt that they've got on any of the floating rates, and corporate is pretty standard at floating rates, but they also do a thing called hedging, which we'll talk about another time. But nonetheless, that debt is still sitting there, and you got to figure out what you're going to do with that. Next, what did he have? Hulu. Well, most people don't know, and I'm going to step forward here. Did you know that Disney basically bought all of Hulu, but part of it was a $27.5 billion IOU to Comcast to buy the rest of it? Bet you didn't know that. And so that was done. That's due in 2024. So guess what? Welcome back, Bob. You've been gone 2 years. Remember that Hulu thing? Ha-ha. Here it is. So we have a bill coming due, and that's to own all of Hulu. They went and they talked to, I think it's Comcast, and they said, Brian, hey, you know, maybe we could, and Brian's like, no, the price is the price. But they've agreed to start sooner so that Disney can have some flexibility on, you know, how it's going to finance that and actually pay them. Then theme parks. Well, they must grow, but then there's been a bunch of controversy about the prices at the theme parks and the cost of parking and stuff. And there is also this controversy on, you know, how the theme parks are going to operate with the state of Florida, and Governor DeSantis was going head-to-head with Chapek and then head-to-head with Iger. Well, guess what? That's not easy, so theme parks have got things that need attention. Then Marvel and Star Wars. You know what? I think the limit is 185 Marvel movies, and what are we on, like 183 or something? I'm making that number up, but the point is, at some point in time, you run out of characters and storylines on Marvel, and we all know Star Wars has basically come to its story arc, so where do you go from here? So they've made bank on that on the last decade. My goodness, the movies and everything that were there. So, but guess what? All good things come to an end, and right? And then you have the last Indiana Jones movie where Harrison Ford is basically an old man, and where do you go from here? So you've got a bunch of, these are called platforms or storylines or story arcs that are running out of characters, and you know, what next, what now? Then you've got ESPN. It is declining. They've been losing subscribers. ESPN's Plus is an individual subscriber thing. They've been losing on that. They've also been losing money because there's a very challenging sports landscape. This past year, they laid off a bunch of very high dollar talent on there because they're like, I don't see that it's bringing in the viewers or keeping the viewers any better. And then when all this is done, Bob is going to retire again. And so we need to find a new guy again. And when Bob retired the first time, and it was Chapek, it only lasted 2 years. He rearranged all the furniture in the corporate living room, billions of dollars of stuff, and now what? So here we go. So, anybody tired yet? I'm tired. That's a big list. So, let's take a look at the stock. This is a 5-year look at Disney stock. So 5 years, it's down 30%. Over the past 5 years, down $35, down 30%. I think I said 35% a minute ago. But see, that's a challenge. So in the midst of all those things he's got to do on the other page, he's got to make this go up, you know? And there's only one Viagra for stock price, and it's called EBITDA, right? You got to go get the profit of the company up. Well, this is a complicated company. You got theme parks, you got Hulu that you own part of. And that big bill you got to pay, and all these things are going on. You have the intellectual property you own. You've got channels like ABC. I think they also own Nat Geo and ESPN and ESPN2, 3, 4, 5, International, and ESPNU, right? There's like 7 ESPNs now. It's like leaving rabbits in a cardboard box in the garage. It just keeps going. But it's not making money the way it used to be. So now, next. The revenue is actually growing and doing pretty well. Look at the revenue growth. There is the pre-COVID year. We were on a growth year. This is during COVID, so this is a lot of theme parks here. Okay, so now let's look at this side. The problem is the future. It's not that you're growing, as you saw in the previous one. It's where do you go from here? Because remember, the stock market is a hungry beast. It wants more profit. It wants growth. Growth of profit more than growth in revenue. Profit is value. Revenue is just revenue. Revenue without profit is not necessarily value. More profit without growth in revenue is value. It's a one-way street. Profit drives value. So now Disney breaks itself up into two areas that it likes to talk about: Disney Media and Entertainment Distribution and Disney Parks Experience and Products. Parks Experience and Products are right here. We can see the COVID effect. And then, hey, we all went back to Disneyland and got our ears again. Meanwhile, what's going on in media and entertainment is just kind of up and down. And by the way, some of these peaks are hit movies. So if you're running out of good scripts and you're running out of good storylines and you're running out of ways to put another Star Wars out there, you are not going to have these spikes. So this is the issue. So Bob has got to manage the operating income or profit out of these two divisions, have a lot of things in them. Well, I'm going to show you something. I said it wasn't going to be a deep case study, but I'm going to drop into something here so you can just kind of get a flavor for it. This is just Disney Media and Entertainment. The blue is linear network operating income. Let me translate: ABC, Nat Geo, and ESPN. And as you can see, 2020, it's been lumpy. And then the little red ones on top, content sales. Everything above the line is positive operating income. Everything below the line is negative, meaning they're investing. It's costing them money. So you can see the content sales and licensing was up here with the blue on the positive side, and now it's down here. So two of the things that our hero Bob Iger has got to do in 2.0 is deal with the direct-to-consumer operating loss. Some of that, I'm told, is Hulu. So it's complicated. It's not just we sell cars, we sell trucks, and now we sell electric ones. That's Ford. They're all vehicles. There's some things in here that are marketed and sold and built and created very differently from one another, and it makes it very challenging to run it. So what's happening right now? So Bob is in there and he's trying to do things. Now I bring you to the headlines. It says, is Iger stumbling? Is there any hope for Iger? How will we save him in 2 hours and 20 minutes before this movie ends? Well, here's the rumors and truth. Apparently, he's discussed selling the ABC networks to Nexstar and said at the Allen & Company conference, he was being interviewed by CNBC. I think he was being interviewed by David Faber, who is on the morning show there and all the way up to midday on CNBC. A great analyst, great guy, level-headed guy, David Faber, one of my favorites. And he goes to interview Bob Iger, and Bob Iger starts saying things that were causing his comms and PR people to have heart palpitations off camera. Yeah, linear TV is not core. Linear TV means ABC and ESPN. Linear TV means Nat Geo. So he goes, that's not really core. Why don't you just say, yeah, and you're interviewing me here at Allen & Company. Does anybody want a sports network? Sports network, come sit next to me at dinner, we'll talk about it. That's basically what he was saying. So then Entertainment Studios, and this is Byron Allen. I'm pretty sure the name, Byron Allen. He comes up and says, listen, by the way, that's not an M, that's a B. 10 billion. Listen, I got financing ready. I can get 10 billion. I want to buy ABC, FX, Nat Geo, and the other channel networks. So Byron Allen of Entertainment Studios says, give me your TV business. Just give me your TV business. You can keep the ESPN over there, but all of these, he wants to put it into his stuff because he believes he could do it. You know what this is called? This is called focus. You've heard Biz Doc talk about it. He says, this is all I do. I can do it with focus, and I think with my focus, I can do more than you. So how about 10 billion, and I'll take it. They then told him, we're not ready to do that. Okay. Then ESPN, they openly said it needs cash, and it needs a strategic partner. Now, whenever someone needs cash, what you always hear, in the news media, they're looking for a strategic partner. Listen, it's not what you say when, you've got your son or daughter, you want to get them out of the house. I wish they'd find a strategic partner. In other words, get married to somebody with cash. But that's exactly what it means in the world of corporate M&A. We need to find a strategic partner. In other words, strategic meaning they're in your industry together. Partner meaning they're going to merge with them. And so Iger also spoke to the sports leagues about ESPN, and they weren't interested. And what came out of that was people that were whispering after the Iger meetings that said, hey, our understanding is if he can't find a league or someone to come in as a strategic partner, and you can see how a sports league could be a strategic partner, that basically what's about to happen is that they're going to have to spin it off. So that's what's happening right now. So a lot of headlines that show our hero Bob Iger 2.0 hasn't had any wins yet, and he's trying to reorganize the furniture in the living room to get there, and he ends up in a headline. In a controversy, minding his own business, they all go on strike. He said something, and there was a guy that put a viral video out on the X, Twitter, and basically said, you names, calling him names. You make $27 million a year. We're out here. All we want is a little cut when it's digital or AI, or you use our voice and storyline. I can't believe you. So he found himself in the middle of this, rightly or wrongly, being dragged into it and, you know, being burnt in effigy, as it were, and in the middle of that. So no big deals have happened yet. No big changes have happened yet. And, you know, that's where he's at. So what is my 2 cents? You know, I've seen a lot of these things, so I can do like David Faber or anybody like this, or Jim Cramer, and I can come up and give my 2 cents. But I'm being pretty practical about this, and I'm being non-emotional, and I'm being non-traditional. So I've got no traditions, anything, oh, you've worked for Disney all these years, we can't do this. No. I'm looking from the outside saying what seems to make sense. So I think it's almost a leverage buyout quant. Keep the parks and the media libraries, but sell everything else that's not nailed down. Here's what I mean. ESPN is coming to a life cycle, and they're in multi-year erosion of subscribers against what? The sports leagues have their own OTT offerings, right? NFL Sunday Ticket has really been the OTT for the NFL, if you think about it. Now somebody else is doing it, and what is it? Amazon's got it, I think, now, or wherever it is. And you look at MLB, they have their app, and I can watch all the games on MLB Network right on my phone. So, you know, I can even get highlights on MLB. I used to go to ESPN to hear Chris Berman make joking, funny names some 20 years ago about my favorite teams. Guess what? Doesn't happen anymore. Doesn't. I can just go to MLB Network and they have MLB in studio and they're giving me highlights. I don't go to ESPN for anything baseball, and I love baseball. If there was value and it was incremental and it was entertaining, I'd go there, but I don't. And it's happening with a lot of other consumers throughout the sports leagues, so take a look at this. The sports leagues have their own offerings. That cuts into what ESPN can do with rights and highlights. Then the sports leagues are making other deals. You've heard what the NFL did with Amazon for one of the nightly football games during the year, and Apple is rumored to be backing up the truck with $2 billion over a 4-year period to have global rights to Formula One. Now remember, Netflix is doing Drive to Survive. Do you think maybe Apple picks that up? Who knows? But Apple is talking about pulling all the rights everywhere and putting them on Apple TV, and at the end of 4 or 5 years, there will be no organization in sports anywhere. And right now, ESPN has got Formula One here in the United States, that it would all be Apple TV. Then, here's my idea. What if you take a guy who is rumored to be really smart, and I say rumored because I don't know him personally, but everything I've read about him is Jimmy Pitano is really a smart guy when it comes to running networks. What if you take out the weight and the leverage and everything that's on with Disney and spin out ESPN and the TV assets to be led by Jimmy, and just spin it out as a public company and say, okay, Jimmy, for better, for worse, you're like Warner Brothers Communication. You're a big collection of channels now. Live or die, make it work. We're going to spin it on the stock market, take a lot of that money to Disney and put it against our debt and restructure. That's what we're going to do. But here, I think that's one angle. Also, cinema is woke and the public isn't paying. There have been a lot of Disney movies that have had themes in there that are for narrow audiences. And we all know what the narrow audiences are. I'm not saying that's a good audience or a bad audience. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not discriminating. I'm just saying if I make a movie that has these narrow audience things in there, that audience may not like it. That audience may not appreciate it. This audience likes it. But don't I want to get ticket sales from everybody? Don't I want Disneyland to be the happiest place on earth, not the most segregated place on earth in terms of different people, different viewpoints? No, I want to be the happiest people under a big tent, because big tents have a lot of tickets that sell, and that's called a blockbuster. And that's what you're there to do. But experts are saying, by the way, that it takes at least 5 years to greenlight and launch, from development to the first one out, a new slate or a new platform of movies, or to have a regime change of people that put broad themes that cover everybody into the movies and don't put narrow themes that piss off these folks or these folks. And I think you all understand what I mean, but I'm told that it takes 5 years to put a new crew in, greenlight a bunch of movies, get scripts, directors, packages, call the agents, get the actors and actresses that are going to do that appear, or they're going to be CGI, or going to be voiceover, whatever it is. It takes time to do that. So I think that cinema is in trouble, and they're chasing Netflix and Apple and deca-billion spends each year on the media. But I think this gets TV out from under you. You focus on the theme parks and the media libraries. That's what I think. That's my 2 cents. Who knows how it's going to shake out, but I wanted to take you on a little, from the ride of a lifetime to a bumpy ride through the current time, so you can understand what Bob Iger's doing, and more importantly, what the hell is going on at the House of Mouse. And I hope this has been helpful to you to kind of dive down a little bit and understand that. Now, I'm going to head right back over to the main studio and wrap us up. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. That wasn't a huge deep dive into Disney, because the purpose is just to kind of show you what on earth is going on now, what's up with those headlines. If you like that case study, you'll probably like one of these that's up on the screen. Also about Disney and Hulu and the things that they've done over the years. I think you'll enjoy those case studies as well. Again, I mentioned it earlier. If you want to talk to me, you want to talk to Patrick or any one of the Valuetainment team, Vinny or Adam, Saucecast, you can find us on Minnect. M-I-N-N-E-C-T, and right there on the App Store and the Android market. Go download it, find an expert you like, and get answers you want. All from Valuetainment, because we want to bring information to you. If it's not useful, you're not here, and we want to be useful every time you tune in. Thank you very much. I'm Tom Ellsworth, the Biz Doc, and as I like to say, I hope I left you better than I found you.